My name is Sarah. I am 27 years old. I live with my husband, David, and our 5-year-old son, Leo. David is 31 years old. He's a good man and works in an office. He works very hard to provide for our family. However, David leaves the house early in the morning and returns very late at night. Sometimes Leo is already asleep when David gets home. When David arrives, he is exhausted. He eats dinner, watches television for a short time, and then goes to sleep. I spend most of my time with our son, Leo. We play games and eat dinner together at 6 p.m. But my life feels very lonely. David is never there for dinner. I feel like I am raising Leo alone. Even though I have a husband, our marriage feels empty. David and I do not talk much anymore. We only talk about bills or Leo's school. We never talk about us. I miss feeling close to him. I want to feel like a wife, not just a roommate. I want David to look at me and make me feel loved, but he's always working. I often sit alone in the living room after Leo falls asleep. I wish my life was different. I wish David was there with me. Instead, James came to our house often. James was David's best friend. He came to see David, but David was usually still at work, so James stayed with me and Leo. James was very different from David. He always had time for us. He was a good friend to me. He often brought toys for Leo, and Leo loved it when James visited. James also fixed things in the house that were broken. David always said he would fix them, but he never had the time. James fixed a broken shelf in the kitchen without complaining. He told me that I was a wonderful mother. David never said things like that anymore. With James, I felt safe. I felt seen. I knew it was dangerous, but I could not stop the feeling. I was afraid because these feelings were for my husband's best friend. One evening, James came to our house to see David. My son Leo went to sleep early. I was happy to see James, but then the phone rang. It was David. He said he was very sorry, but he had to work late again. I felt deeply sad. James looked at me with sympathy. He knew how lonely I felt. James waited in the living room while I went to the bathroom to take a shower. I closed the door and turned on the water. Suddenly, I heard a loud noise. I looked up and saw water spraying everywhere. A pipe had burst. I screamed because I did not know what to do. James heard me shout. He ran to the bathroom door and opened it. We were both standing in deep, cold water. James used all his strength to turn the valve off. The noise stopped, and slowly the water stopped running. We were both completely wet. My clothes stuck to my skin, and James' hair was dripping. We were standing very close to each other. Our hearts were beating fast. We looked into each other's eyes and did not move away. James touched my face, and then he kissed me. That night, we stayed together. I was unfaithful to my husband with his best friend. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. The next morning, I woke up alone. James was gone. He left very early without saying goodbye. I felt terrible guilt about David. David is my husband, and James is his best friend. What we did was wrong. I looked at my phone many times that day. I waited for a message or a call from James, but nothing came. Why did he not call? Did the kiss mean nothing to him? I looked at my wedding ring. It felt heavy on my finger. I knew I should feel ashamed, but my heart wanted James. I decided to call him. I answered, but his voice was cold. He said he was busy and could not visit my house anymore. He said he could not see my son either. I felt hurt. I needed to know why he was acting this way, so I drove to his house. When James opened his door, he looked surprised. I walked inside before he could stop me. "I like you very much, James," I said. "You make me feel alive." James did not look happy. He looked sad and guilty. "David is my best friend," he said. "I betrayed him. What we did was very wrong." I walked close to him. I wanted him to forget the guilt. I put my arms around him and kissed him. For a moment, he held me tight, but then he pushed me away. He looked scared. "I have to tell David the truth," James said. "I cannot keep this secret." I drove back home in fear. I hoped James would change his mind, but he did not. That evening, James called David and told him everything. When David came home, his face was red with anger. He threw his keys onto the kitchen table and shouted my name. "Sarah, is it true?" he yelled. I could not move or speak. I just looked at him. "Tell me, Sarah, did you sleep with James?" I slowly nodded my head. David looked shocked and furious. He called me selfish. He said I did not understand how hard he worked for our family. Then I started to shout too. "Yes, it is true," I cried. "But you must know why. You are never here, David. I am alone every single day. I feel invisible in this house. James saw me. He talked to me. He made me feel safe when you did not." We were shouting very loudly. Suddenly, we heard a cry. Leo had woken up. He stood in the hallway, looking at us with fear in his eyes. He began to cry loudly. David and I stopped fighting immediately. We felt ashamed. David picked up Leo and held him tight. His anger faded into sadness. "We cannot do this to him," he said softly. "We must stop fighting." I nodded. I knew I had hurt David, but we were hurting our son even more. "We will try again," David said, looking at me with sad eyes. "We will fix our marriage for our son." "Yes," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. After that night, David stopped working late. He promised to come home early every day. He ended his friendship with James completely. James is not allowed in our lives anymore. David is trying hard to be a better father and husband. He helps Leo with homework and cooks dinner. But there is a coldness between us. David does not trust me. I see the pain in his eyes when he looks at me. I want to say I'm sorry, but the words feel not enough. We act like a happy family when Leo is watching. We smile for him, but when he goes to bed, the silence returns. David and I do not touch each other. We do not speak about the affair. We hope that with time, the pain will go away. Life is quiet now. I do my duties. I cook, I clean, and I take care of our son. This is the life I chose. I put my family first, but my heart feels heavy. I know I did the right thing for Leo, but I carry the memory of that night with James, always.